Hey there guys, GMO73 here, bringing you a feature match of myself versus Mr. Sam Lahoulier. We are playing some of the new rulers from the new set. I am playing Rezzard, a deck I like to call the Tale of Rezzard, using a lot of like his kind of themed cards from the new set. And Sam is playing a green-red Arla, new Arla kind of ramp control, so it's designed to kind of just continuously ramping it way ahead. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to be on the play. First stone is my Sorrowful Necromancy's Memoria, which is great for me, but I have no first turn play, so I just have to pass. Second stone is a Sorrowful Necromancy, which is unfortunate because I usually only want to see one and then get a Darkness Magic Stone for my standby cards, but that didn't happen, so I just have to pass there after setting a standby. Going to Sam, he goes to a Yggdrasil, Blessing of Yggdrasil, and gets that first flight from Memoria, so now he's got his kind of stone ready and active. Hit a third Sorrowful Necromancy's Memoria. I'm going to go out and play a Schrodinger to get some more ramp. So the reason I play Schrodinger is also to help Rezzard later on become more powerful, because I can use the Sorrowful Necromancy's Memoria as kind of like a will sink to exile cards, and then slowly get stronger, eventually hit 5 cards and be strong, get the bonuses from Schrodinger. So he's going to use Keen Sense to pop my standby, which was a Merlin. And he passes the turn to me. Finally hit my Darkness Magic Stone, so that's a good thing for me. I pay 1 for a Soul Hunt. So I gotta see what he wants to discard here, because the fruit's going to go away. He decides to discard another fruit. I'm going to discard a Death Scythe. I'm going to set a face down and play Lapis's Dark Storm. So this lets me pick 1 card at random, so I'm just going to use the die roll. So I hit 2 there, and then he has to choose 1 card to discard. So Spiral of Despair was an amazing card back in the day when it was around. Lapis's Dark Storm was essentially half of each of Spiral of Despair's modes, so that's really cool. That ability, the fact that I hit 1 at random first is also really nice, because it can really mess with your opponent when they're forced to have to choose a card to discard. So got the Uther and the Timekeeper Elf, which is nice. Got rid of some of his burn, as well as some more of his ramping. Taps for another stone, gets another green stone. Plays another fruit, draws a card. Looks like he drew a Timekeeper Elf here, so he's going to play it and get a stone in rested. So again, a lot of that ramping kind of stuff. I'll play a Death Scythe. And at this point, because I have a Darkness Magic Stone, I'm going to go ahead and try to load up my standby area. So Rezzard's going to come over, and because I control 1 of his Memoria, 4 cards go face down into my standby zone. So I immediately load up that standby a lot. So now I got 5 cards sitting down there. Hopefully a lot of them are stealth cards. This deck primarily is stealth resonators. It's not a lot of actual like standby spells. A lot of the ones that kind of exist right now really aren't that great, but the stealth resonators can do a lot of impact. So that's why I picked primarily stealth resonators. One thing to note, you see that little this little decoy, Alice's little decoy in his hands. It's actually a proxy for a high-speed dash Unfortunately, Sam did not have enough high-speed dashes for the deck, which is just so it's just a reminder because they have a similar kind of effect. So high-speed dash is a one-drop instant, lets you bounce J/Resonator you control either back to your hand or back to the ruler zone. So he's gonna do combat by using Battle Cow Gujata's counter effect. In response to it, I'm just gonna pump up Rezzard 2/2 with Death Scythe, so it'll survive the hit and kill Gujata. And then because technically Rezzard, when he's flipped, gains the name Rezzard the Desecrating Vampire, Death Scythe will trigger, and I get to steal the Battle Cow. So this is pretty cool. So now I have a cow sitting on my side of the field, which is just a generic 5/5. So a little blocker to help me kind of just keep myself alive. Now Sam could have used the high-speed dash there, but he decided he wants to save it for Arla when Arla flips to be able to use that effect multiple times. So in the upkeep, you saw me set a standby for 1 and instant speed. That's because Rezzard has the activate ability of pay a dark, put a card face down. So being able to set cards at instant speed is really, really nice. It definitely makes the deck a lot smoother. You can be very situational with your standbys and like use things better. So I swing in for 8 and Sam just takes it. Definitely makes the deck a lot more viable in terms of playing at a more like local competitive level. That fact that I can just set things kind of instantly is really, really nice. So Sam's kind of trying to figure out what he wants to do here. He's got a matchstick girl. We'll go ahead and do Judgment. So he pays 4 to do Judgment. And then because he controls a First Light Memoria, he gets to do a lot of things. He gets to put the top stone of his Magic Stone deck into play, recover all the Magic Stones he controls, and he gets to draw a card. So there's a lot of value that comes from an Arla flip. So he's got that Matchstick Girl in his hand. He's just trying to figure out what his next line of play is. So he's going to pay a red by using a First Light Memoria and a green to filter them. And then 1. So he's going to do the Matchstick, and then in response to Matchstick's effect, I'm actually just going to Executioner Matchstick for my standby zone, so Matchstick will be dead. And Sam realized as he was trying to grab his matchsticks that he only plays 3, and one of them is in his hand. So he actually paid 1 more than he needed to for that effect. So that was that thumbs up. He was like saying, "Yeah, I did it. I'm dumb." So I mean, it happens. You know, this is just a key example of being aware of what you have in your deck, so that you don't waste things. But the extra payment didn't really matter much when he can recover stones and do all kinds of other crazy shenanigans. So during his upkeep, I'm gonna make him exile the Uther. So now I got 1 card removed for Schrodinger. So I have the Death Scythe pumped during the upkeep as well, but I'm gonna go ahead and just tap for a stone because I need a moonstone, and I thankfully enough get the moon source there. So I'm pretty much set for will from here until the end of the game because I have my Darkest Stone, I have my Moonstone, and I have my Sorrowful Necromancy's Memoria, and lots of will to be able to play around with. So I see that Sam has 2 stones face up. I'm trying to see if I can grab a Hades. Go ahead and try and do some shenanigans first. So swinging the Battle Cow, blocks with the fruit. I try and kill the fruit with Executioner, which is not my smartest decision because he has Timekeeper Elf and they won't trade or anything. He'll just get to kill my Timekeeper or my Executioner, but that's a fine. Executioner's kind of done his job once he flips over and kills something. I'm going to go ahead and try to cast a Call of the Primogenitor with the Awakening to see if I can grab a standby back and get it into my hand as well as grab the Hades from the deck, but then he just decides to Keen Sense it, so none of that really worked for my advantage. Then I just cast Soul Hunt because I have, after playing the Izanami out on the board to protect my my Rezzard, and then he sacrifices Timekeeper Elf. I think he would rather have the big blocker that I can't steal and get any advantage from. I mean, I can get a draw card, but other than that, can't really get much out of it. So at this point, I have no cards in hand, but I have 5 cards in my standby zone, which is actually really good. So I essentially have a hand of 5 cards. You would hope them all to be stealth, but there's no guarantee because Rezzard is random in the sense of here's the top 4 cards. And Sam's sitting on a Flame King Shout, a High Speed Dash. He's going to go ahead and High Speed Dash his Arla back. I would have gone ahead and probably... Oh, okay, so he decides to do High Speed Dash and then immediately do Judgment again, and that's why he didn't swing. So he gets to ramp, he gets to draw a card. Everything else, he got a last drop, which is really nice because he can bring back his Matchstick Girl at instant speed. Also has that Blessing of Yggdrasil. Or sorry, the Rewriting Laws. So now all of his stones can tap for everything this turn, and he gets to draw a card. It's a Kujata. Just gonna go ahead and play the Kujata. Thinking about whether or not to try to use the effect of it. He's not going to mess up again and attack Rezzard with Kujata. He's going to use the Kujata effect, but in response to the Kujata effect, I'm just going to flip over an Executioner and kill Kujata. So before it even gets the +5/+5 counter. The counter will whiff, and so nothing will die. So now I have another creature on board, and he has lost another creature and spent 6 will. I mean, at its core, the Rezzard deck is a trap deck. It is designed to, kind of trick your opponent into doing things that you want them to do, and then punishing them for doing it. So Sam passes. I have that nice new kill spell, but I'm worried that he might have a counter spell, so I don't want to go to waste because I'm trying to kill that Arla. I don't know his hands, so I have no idea. I'm trying to decide whether or not I want to cast the spell now, or swing in and try to cast the spell, or what. I decided to go ahead and just pass the turn. He casts the last drop, but then now in response, since I know he doesn't have a counter spell to be able to beat it, outside of maybe Wall of Wind, and I can just pay for it, I'm going to cast the Eye in the Darkness, which will give target J/Resonator -4/-4 for every card in my standby zone, which is 4, so -16/16 to Arla, which will definitely kill him. So last drop's going to bring Matchstick Girl back in. He's going to draw and then recover. So Matchstick will come in rested, but then just move straight to recovery, so it'll recover up, which is fine. Tap for a stone, because that's all Arla's good for anymore. He's got that last drop, trying to figure out what he wants to use it with. Since he does have those matchsticks, but the problem here being that he doesn't have enough to be able to kill Rezzard. So we're doing my upkeep. We're going to get rid of a matchstick, because now I just make sure that Matchstick Girl can't ever kill any of my giant things. Then we're going to recover. And then, so tapping everything except for my Schrodinger, and I get to play Hades, because he costs 9, but he costs 1 less for every card in my standby zone. There's 4 of them, so he only costs 5. I'm going to go ahead and tap for a stone, because I like having access to 2 stones, so I can have both of Hades' effects. Because now I can start getting those cards that aren't standbys in my standby zone, and aren't stealths in my standby zone, and make use of them by popping them with Hades to give stuff -4/-4, and mini kill spells. He's going to do last drop again. Brings out a Battle Cow. Making sure that's what he wants to do. So we're in his draw phase, but before he actually draws. So he's going to do, because you could play things before you actually draw. So he's going to do Kujata's effect to hit Hades. In response to it getting the, so I'm gonna let it get the counter, and I'm gonna let it fight, but before it actually finishes resolving its fight, I'm gonna go ahead, trying to think about what I want to do here. So Kujata is currently a 10/10. It's gonna fight and get killed by Hades, but that'll leave Hades with 10 damage on it for the turn. So in response to the fighting, we're going to go ahead and sacrifice 2 of my standby cards to Hades and pay 2 darkness to give Kujata -8/-8. So it'll be now 2/2. So it will still fight Hades and put 2 damage on Hades, but then Kujata will just die. So then still during draw, deciding whether or not he wants to use them now or see what else he draws into first. So he decides to draw. So now we're in the turn. So he's gonna recover. 80 still has 200 damage on it. Taps for another stone. Gonna toss 2 matchsticks at Hades, which I'm gonna let happen, so there's 800 damage to me. And he uses his 2 first flights plus 2 greens to produce 2 red, and then whatever, and cast Flame King Shout, which will deal the last 400 damage that Hades needs to be killed, and also take out my Executioner. So a lot of work to get rid of Hades, but definitely was worth it for Sam, because if he let Hades stick on board, it's pretty much lethal. He's a 14/14 powerhouse that just gets to keep killing stuff. And he gets to make my stealth resonators repeatable, which is really strong. Pass the turn. We're into combat. You can't hear it because there's no audio, but I verbally announced that I was tapping the Death Scythe, and Sam and I are good friends, so he didn't have to worry about me like actually tapping it. So Rezzard's currently at 10, so he's going to swing in for 10, and Sam is going to take it. He's thinking about whether or not he wants to block with fruit, I think, but he decides to just accept the damage. So he's down to 22. And at that, I just pass the turn. Taps for another stone. So things aren't looking too good for Sam. He's got only 2 cards in hand. Matchstick is, they're both essentially vanillas at this point. A high-speed dash, which is nice to be able to bring, kind of repeat, but doesn't really do much when so you see me trying to make him discard with Izanami here, and then I forget that Izanami's on board. The other one hasn't hit grave yet. So like I was saying, it's not really super effective here. Before he resolves Uther, I'm going to kind of check and see what we got, see if he has enough to be able to kill me. Definitely does, so I'm going to produce some black and then sacrifice for Imperishable for Rezzard. I don't... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6... I don't know how many cards I had removed at this point. I probably could have just RFG'd a couple cards in response and become a 17-14, which would probably be enough to survive. But I actually don't mind having to flip back over because it's essentially at this point free cards for my standby zone. Because when I flip, when I do Judgment again, I'll be able to get even more stuff. So Sam's kind of at a disadvantage here. All he's got is that high-speed dash. I kind of just get to do whatever I want at this point. Exile another matchstick, so now he's only got 1. So he's slowly losing access to his removal. Meanwhile, I'm just gaining and mounting advantage, and he's not doing any damage. So I essentially just get to draw 4 cards there, and hopefully they are cards that are useful, because they can't go into my hand. So I've got that blocker in the form of these Nami. The reason why I'm keeping it as a blocker is because essentially this way I can do double duty with it. So like if I block with it and give something 600 damage and then make him discard a card at instant speed, I can kill the thing that he has like blocked with if it's a large creature by making him discard a card and then flipping Merlin and immediately giving that thing like -7/-7. Plus it's just keeping me safe. I need to be able to spend life on my turns for Riza. So getting too low or not having a blocker or letting him kind of just do his own thing is not very effective. So he does top deck the Horn of the Sacred Beast, which is not so great for me because I do have a couple Persephones face down. But he's thinking about whether or not he wants to use it for his own deck to kind of recycle and start using cards again. Because again, he's pretty far behind an advantage at this point with the high speed dash. Like even if he played Matchstick again, he would only get at most one Matchstick off of it. So very little advantage there. And Uther itself is not doing much either. And Rezzard at this point has probably done his job. So he really doesn't really matter if he dies, just because of the fact that I've put so many cards face down with him that I'm pretty set for the rest of the game. So he swings in with Matchstick and we trade with the Izanami. So I draw, I set 2 cards face down at instant speed, tap and get a pump from Rezzard. So at this point I have so many cards face down and no cards in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and play Riza. Riza triggers when I have 4 magic stones, one of them's a darkness stone, and I have no resonators. I can pay 1,000 life and put a card of my choice from my deck into my standby zone. Really powerful card here in this situation, because I essentially get to grab the stealth resonator that best suits the situation and just put it right face down. I believe I grab an executioner there. So I swing in for 10. My Death Scythe. He decides to block with Tree. And I get the fruit. Sorry, he blocks with fruit. I get the fruit. I get to draw a card because of the fruit trigger, which is really nice. So probably in Sam's situation, based on this top deck, I'd probably just scoop here. Staring down a lot of potential bad stuff. I mean, then again, you don't really know what it is. But, I mean, with a stealth deck, you're assuming that at least 2 or 3 of those cards are successful stealth hits. So that's a lot of traps to be kind of walking into. So he plays the Prisia. Costs him 4 technically, so he can filter the green into a red with First Flight. And he pays 1 more to give her flying. Now he has to think about what he wants to attack into. He starts to go to attack Rezzard, which doesn't really make much sense, and he catches it immediately. It wouldn't kill Rezzard. I'd take 500 damage and get his Prisia. He has no way to pump it up. So he's trying to figure out what he wants to attack with. I'm actually trying to use him to my advantage here. I've got some Rezzard's dads sitting face down, but I need to be at 2,000 or less life. So him playing that Prisia is actually pretty good for me. I'm willing to kind of take the damage from Prisia in order to get my Rezzard dads active, because Uther is just a vanilla on board right now, and so I'm not terribly concerned about my ability to stop her or mess with her in any way, shape, or form, especially with Sam only having 1 card in his hand. So he swings in the air at my face for 7, and let that go through. And he passes the turn, and I go ahead and Dark Purge it, taking the 500 damage, getting down to 18. Now so I draw for turn, which is a mistake. I should be making this play during his turn so that my Rezzard dads can attack and just finish the game off. Doesn't really matter at this point, just because of how much raw advantage I'm gonna get here. So Rezzard Dad flips over. The awakening cost is the stealth trigger is to have 2,000 or less life and control a darkness stone. I'm gonna give -8/-8 to Uther. He's gonna try to high speed dash her back, and I'm gonna flip the second Rezzard's dad over in response to the high speed dash to make sure it dies. So like I said, if I had done this during his turn, I have lethal on board here, but it really doesn't matter because he's going to be top decking and staring down so much pressure that at this point it's just over. But we'll play it out. I pay 3 to play a. I only have to pay 2 technically because I have 7 cards face down, but I paid way too many. So Hades is back out, so he takes Riza and Rezzard to the face, so gonna be down to 400. And then he just flips his red stone, his final stone, and plays a battle cow, and then tries to give it the power. In response, I'm going to go 1 to pop a standby to make him weaker. And then before his Kujata effect resolves, I trigger Persephone, which will then grab my Dark Arthur. And at that point, Sam just decides to scoop. Now he could activate the Horn of Sacred Beast to shuffle my deck back in, but I actually do have a second Persephone face down planned for that, so it didn't really matter there at that point. So we're going to go to game 2. Sam's going to be on the play. So we'll see if this game goes my way, same way, or not. Windstone off the top, no first turn play for Sam. Moonstone off the top for me, therefore no first turn play for me. And unfortunate because I want to hit those Darkness Stones and Necromancy's Memoria as fast as possible. Plays the fruit. Hit the Necromancy's Memoria, so that's 2 out of the 3 stones that I want to see. I decide to play a Soul Hunt to get that fruit off the board, as well as discard the card. Once he picks his card to discard, I'll kind of reveal it. He discards a Time Gazer Elf, I discard a Riza. He plays a Rewriting Laws here, lets him draw even more cards, and then just plays a Prisia to swing into my face. This is probably the best decision he can make, is just to go pure aggression against me. Especially since I I am very dependent on my stone base, and I miss again, so that Prisia is essentially just going to get to survive. So I'll set a standby card and pass. And now he's got cancel spells in his hand to be able to make sure that Prisia stays safe. So he's in a pretty good position here. So he's going to swing. I'm going to try to kill it with the Eye from the Darkness, and he's just going to cancel it. So I'm going to take another 700 damage. Still haven't seen a Darkness Magic Stone. Really don't like that. I go ahead and attempt to Soul Hunt. He just cancels it with Keen Sense, keeping that Prisia on board even longer. I make him discard even a couple more cards just to say fine. 1. Hit the Battle Cow, and then he gets to pick one to discard. So it's actually kind of good that I hit Battle Cow, because he just has nothing but green stones here and still hasn't hit a First Flight's Memoria. At least in my eyes, it seems good. Because all those red cards are just essentially dead in his hand. Gives me hope. Plays a Timekeeper Elf, gets a free stone, still a Wind Stone, still no First Flight Memoria, so those red cards are still just dead. I take another 7, down to 19. So now I can play Rezzard's Dad, which is great, but not super effective. Oh no, I still can't play Rezzard's Dad, so I'm going to go ahead and set 2 cards face down there. Finally got a Darkness Stone, so I can make some things happen here. Taps and finally gets his First Light Memoria. So now next turn he can start flipping over and doing things. Swings in with the Prisia. Flip over Riza. Riza's going to trigger. I'm going to pay 1,000 life. Now go down to 9. Set a card face down, and then I'm going to block the Prisia. Because Prisia does not have enough strength and he has no way to buff it up. Then I'll take another 5, so I'm down to 4. So I'm essentially at a point this time where if he plays a Prisia, I lose. But like that was already the situation I knew I was going to be in. So he swings the Timekeeper, and I flip over Rezzard's Dad to kill it. I'm essentially fighting an uphill battle at this point, just like he was in game 1. Massive life difference. He's got Prisia's in his deck. He's got spot removal to be able to mess with my blockers. Like any one hit going through is just game over at this point. So he does Matchstick Girl with Awakening. Trying to determine what he wants to do for Awakening. How many he wants to do for the Awakening. Does Awakening for 3. In response to her effect, I'm going to just flip over the Executioner and kill her. So he's going to get the 3 Matchsticks, but Matchstick Girl is dead. At this point in time, since I'm facing such an uphill battle, I decide to just try to load up my graveyard, or load up my standby zone. Hopefully hitting some good stuff. Swing in for 8, take him down to 32. And then pass the turn back to him. Draw, so there's his safety net, his high-speed dash. He's trying to figure out whether he wants to flip this turn. He goes, I mean, there's really no reason for him not to. He gets a free stone. He gets to untap everything. And he gets to draw a card, gets another high-speed dash. Place the Uther. He's gonna hard kill my Rezzard. I have no way to give it imperishable, so I'm just like, okay. But before he can do that, I think about trying to set a card for a standby face down for 1, but I just go ahead and let him just kill my Rezzard. So no imperishable, so it's just kind of dead. And Sam's kind of just have to pass the turn at that because he doesn't have anything to do. I'm going to try and kill Arla. He's going to high-speed dash it in response. And get to flip it back over. Tap for a stone. Up to 6. A 1. To do a soul hunt. Because I don't mind losing an executioner. And I'll take out his Uther and a matchstick. Got that Dark Purge still in my hand. I'm gonna swing for 1400. Or sorry, 1800. He's gonna take it down to 14. So I'm feeling like maybe I can bring it back here, but I know I'm in an uphill battle because if he draws a Prisia, I'm just dead. And look, there it is. He drew a Prisia. So I'm just dead here. Because even if I kill Prisia, I'm gonna take 500 damage. In which case, I'm just out of luck. I was kind of hoping that I could maybe draw into a Lucifer and get some lifelink before he can find his Prisia, since neither of us have any consistent way to search our decks or to filter or anything else, because neither one of us are playing Reflect Refrain. He's gonna float some will here, float a red, and then do Judgment. Gets another stone, gets to recover everything, and gets to draw a card. Decides to kind of mess with me a little bit by playing a Time Gazer Elf, gets to draw a card, and then just plays the Prisia. And I just scoop at that point, and I kind of just laugh at him because I'm like, why don't you just play the Prisia, you just win. But anyway, moving on to game 3. So I'm going to be on the play. Hopefully seeing some good stuff here. I really like my opening hand, so I decided to keep every single bit of it. Waiting for him to finish his mulligans. Tap it for stone. Get a darkness stone off the top, which makes me very happy. So now I fulfill that requirement of having a darkness stone. Sam has no first turn play, so I'm going to go ahead and think about setting a standby, then I decide to go ahead and just kind of pass. Or not. Change my mind. I set a card face down. Sam decides to pass as well. Get a third stone here. And I pass this turn to him. Sitting on an endless night, so kind of want to see if there's anything I want to kill with that first. Uses that Blessing of Yggdrasil. Now he's got his First Light Memoria. I'm still waiting on my Sorrowful Necromancy's Memoria at this point. So I set a card face down. And then pass the turn. So I'm sitting in a Dark Purge in hand too. That's why I've been trying to kind of leave Will up, because I've got some standbys as well as Dark Purge and Endless Night in hand. So I'm trying to kind of situationally leave up Will while still setting down cards. Decides to tap for a second stone. Trying to determine what he wants to do here. He's up to 5 stones. You could technically do Match Girl for 4 here, but he decides to just kind of pass because he expects the Executioner there. Actually puts him at 8 cards, so he has to discard one. Still haven't hit a Sorrowful Necromancies. Go ahead and pay 2 to set a card face down. Leave myself with 3 stones up. So I can play an Endless Night. Calls for another stone. 2 for Blessing of Yggdrasil. Grabbing a 3rd First Flight Memoria. 1 away from being able to do a lot of stuff. Trying to figure out what he wants to play here. He plays a Rewriting Laws. Which lets him recover 2 stones, draw a card, and now his stones can tap for any color. So I think now's the time that he finally decides to play a Matchstick, maybe. Yep, he decides to try to play the Matchstick for Awakening 2. Awakening 1, and as he expected, but instead of an Executioner, I go ahead and play Riza, so I get to pay 1,000, and then now that Riza's out on the board, then I'm gonna flip the Executioner, because Riza can't do anything when she's high speed dash, or when I have a Resonator on the board already. In response to his high speed dash, I'm just gonna go ahead and Dark Purge it to kill it. And then I get to set a card face down. So again, I'm feeling pretty good about this. He's tapped out. I get a card face down. It's going to go into my turn. He's not going to be able to play any cards during my turn. I can start to kind of get that advantage back. I'm just trying to kind of pick the card that I want to play. I think I can go ahead and try to play another Riza, or either that or a Merlin. Draw for turn. See that Persephone. Still haven't seen a Necromancy's Memoria, so I unfortunately can't really do much there. Then I finally see it, so next turn I'm going to be able to flip and start loading up my standby cards even faster. So I'm going to pay 2. Deciding what I want to put face down. Decide to put the Merlin down there. Swing in for 8. And down to 32. He plays another Rewriting Laws, so now all of his stones are going to tap for every color this turn. Gets another Matchstick Girl. Plays Flame King Shout. kill my Executioner, brings out Uther. I'm going to respond to Uther's trigger. By doing Endless Night. Then Uther's still going to be able to kill something. She's already taken 400 damage, so he just exiles a Blessing of Yggdrasil, and then she's dead. So then he decides to do Judgment. This was my mistake here, in the fact that I let him, I did all that stuff, and he still had enough will to be able to just flip Arla over. So then all of that will that I think he wasted just gets it right back, and they're still all going to be able to tap for every color this turn. So I essentially just kind of walked into my own trap there and made kind of a big mistake. So plays 1. Plays 2 for a Matchstick Girl with 1 Awakening to grab the last Matchstick from his deck. Then he plays a Kujata. Thinking about whether or not he wants to play a Matchstick on my match on his Matchstick Girl to get some damage in. Decides to do that, and I take 400 damage. I'm down to 2,000. Or sorry, I'm down to 26. So it's a -2/-2 still. So I tap 3 stones to play Schrodinger, and then I use Schrodinger and my other 3 stones to flip over Rezzard. So the reason why I'm doing this is because I know he has matches in his hand, and so I want to have the Imperishable to be able to keep Rezzard and flip him again next turn. So while Sam has his high-speed dashes, I have my Imperishables from Schrodinger. So he's going to ditch So he's going to discard them all. So I'm going to let the first one just resolve. So I'm going to take 400 damage. Before the second one resolves, we're going to do double Merlin, because he technically discarded a Matchstick. So he's going to take -6/-6 to his Matchstick Girl, and -7/-7 to Matchstick Girl, and -7/-7 to Kujata. And I'm also going to sacrifice Schrodinger for a Perishable. And then I get those 4 cards face down. So I don't have anything else for him this turn, so I just have to pass. So it felt pretty good using my own Judgment as a mini kind of trap trigger there. He's going to use Blessing, Last Drop to get that Kujata back, and then draw on a turn. The reason why he's doing that is because he has another Matchstick in hand, so he's just going to play that. Doesn't really make much sense. And now he has Battle Cow and everything else, and lots of good stuff. So he's going to pay red by using a First Flight and a green. And then 3 more. Oh, 2 more. Yes, 3 more. So he's gonna do Awakening for 2 to get 2 Magicks back. So now he's got Keen Sense, he's got all kinds of stuff. He's gonna immediately just toss them at one of the Merlins and kill it. He's gonna tap for a stone. I think he's going to go swing, but he actually just taps for a stone. He doesn't really need to here. He could just swing with Kujata and then get a free stone. So he's going to go ahead and do the Battle Cow trigger here and pump up Kujata, which I'm going to let him die. Totally fine with that. Then he's going to swing. He gets a stone to recover. But I'm going to go ahead and play Rezzard, who's going to get me to pay 1,000, so I'm down to 16. Because he killed my Merlin, I'm now at 0 resonators. So then Rezzard's dad's gonna come out and kill the Kujata for -8, and it's already taken 6 damage. So because it deals damage, they both deal damage to each other. So now Kujata's dead. Has his recovered stone there. Then when he passes the turn, I'm gonna go ahead and Executioner the Matchstick Girl. So now I'm feeling really far ahead because I'm gonna be able to kill that Arla, so he can't do shenanigans again. I get to do Judgment, reload my standby, and he only has 1 card in his hand, so all those cards are gonna get active. Pay 1 to set another card face down. So I've just got all kinds of things going on in my standby zone. That puts me at, I'm just gonna trade Rezzard Dad with Arla. So that puts me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards in my standby zone. He's gonna take 8 from Rezzard. I'm gonna pass the turn. Gets that Firestone for tapping. Plays a Time Gazer Elf to get a stone. And then at the end of the turn, I'm just going to flip over Rezzard's Dad, kill it, draw to my turn, actually top deck into the card that lets me finish the game off right now. I mean, I already have enough damage on board to be super lethal, but this is just kind of the coup de grace, the Dark Arthur. So 10 damage, 12 damage, and then another 5, so 27 to finish the game off. So there you have it, guys. That is the match. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment sections down below. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, and check back in Saturday for the deck lists. Huge thanks to Sam for playing, but until next time, this is DMO73 signing off.